All right. Welcome to the second and final canvassing board meeting for the November 8th election. We have much less work to do today than we did yesterday, and they will lead us through the final results. There's one thing I'd like to address real quickly, is that yesterday I gave a report to the canvassing board on justification for why we need a larger ballot processing room and processing area. And it's been brought to my attention that some people were offended by some of the reasons that I gave. And one of those people has asked if they could address the board. So once we finished our business before the meeting concludes, while we're still on camera and everything, we'll be having somebody address the board. So, and turn it over to you, Amy.
Thanks, Daryl. So, couple things. The number of voters that have changed from inactive to active over the course of this election were 383. The number of ballots we duplicated over the course of this election is 1,482. Yesterday, we received 30 undeliverable ballots. And then we had 4 ballots that we need the canvass board to look at this morning. These are ballots that the voters ended up sending back a signature update form yesterday, and we believe that the signature update form still does not match the signature on the ballot. So looking at that here. So signature on file, signature they sent in, and that's the signature on the ballot.
Okay.
So here's the signature that we have on file. This is the signature they sent in yesterday, which matches what we have, but we believe that it still does not match the signature on the ballot.
So, and you want us, if we're going to reject it again, do it underneath where you've put this line?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me just make sure I understand.
Of course.
So this is the signature that we have.
Yep. We have these two
Both
on
of these,
file.
and this is the one that.
That didn't match. This is the one on the ballot.
So this, okay, thank you.
Yep. It has to match the ballot signature. So we found that the signature on that form still did not match the ballot signature.
Okay.
Okay.
Rejecting a second time.
That one, and the same thing here. These two signatures still do not match the one. Alrighty, guys. We got a lot of letters back yesterday. It was great. We had 65 letters come back from voters who had not signed their ballots, so we were able to count those ballots. 85 letters came back for folks whose signature did not match. 2 letters came back from folks who had a 2-witness signature form. It was one of our canvas sections, and they returned their form. We were able to count their ballots. Another voter returned their affidavit because their ballot was signed by another person, and another voter provided their ID, so we were able to count their ballot. And we also received about 5 ballots with on-time postmarks. Yesterday, we said that we had 6 ballots ready to count before the canvassing board meeting. We actually had 5. One of those ballots was an online ballot with no ballot attached. So that's what we did.
So then, Signed by another voter, returned affidavit. That's in addition to what we reviewed yesterday. So then will that, do we need to make a decision on whether that person receives a letter or anything?
Mm-mm.
Okay, because they have said
Yep,
somebody else signed the ballot.
and they've signed that
Yeah.
affidavit.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Okay.
All right.
I got some paperwork for you guys to sign. 4 of these, top and bottom. Yep. So, and you can get started. You'll be signing both sections here.
Thank you. This is the same document.
Yep.
The reason we have 4, because we have to send one, there's 3 fire districts on the ballot, so we have to send one to each district and then we can.
Good, thank you.
So here's an official copy of our results.
Is this different than what was sitting on the
It's
desk
the
up here today?
same result, but these are unofficial copies. We
Okay.
weren't sure if we were going to count any of those 4 ballots, so
Okay,
those are the official results. I think the last thing that I want to do before we hand the floor over is to present Ed with your gift.
Oh.
It's just a little gift, but you have been a gatekeeper of democracy this whole while, and so that T-shirt is for you. So we thank you so much for everything you've done.
This looks like it's a small, that's right.
Listen,
we have other
it's in
sizes.
style.
Thank you. It's the thought that counts.
Just let me know.
Thank you.
All right.
Before we, so I have the floor for half an hour now?
Here we go.
You wonder if it's cold in here. I just want to let you know, last night, if you were here, or not in Chambers, if you were in Chambers, it was at least 10 degrees colder last night. And that meeting went for a couple hours. We did play our bill. There's a part issue, I understand, that has to be located in Jordan, out of the U.S. And so that's why it's cold in here. And I brought my coat upstairs and forgot to bring it down. Anyway, thank you.
Some of the challenges of running the government.
For a short time.
For a short time. Yeah, you're almost done. So again, like I said yesterday, I want to thank you, Commissioner, for your public service and your 8 years with the county, but also your many years of public service prior to that, beginning with, as far as I know, was the Reagan administration and being an ambassador for the Reagan administration. And that's a pretty incredible place to start. So
Thank you.
we truly honor your service.
Thank you.
And that concludes the regular business. Again, thank you, Elizabeth, for being part of this board. That concludes the regular business of the canvassing board. And this election is certified by our signatures. And like I said earlier, this normally is not a participatory process, but we have somebody that would like to address the canvassing board, so I'll allow that. Vinton.
My name's Vinton Leinert. I'm an elected PCO for Precinct 162, and I have been an observer for over 2 years, regularly attending these meetings along with Ed. and the deputy made a statement, a report yesterday that I took offense to. As an observer, I have, over these past almost 3 years that I've observed, I've never heard a comment like that about observers. At these meetings or others that both you and I have attended these canvassing boards frequently, if not every time, over the last 2.5 years. And I think the deputy painted that report with a way too broad brush, if he would. He made an indictment about all observers there. And I just don't think that's the case. I have worked with the election staff over these past 2-3 years, and they've never expressed that. I've worked with them, I've not worked against them, and I think, and I respect them. I've been through good elections with them and bad elections with them, and I respect the job they've done. It's a tough friggin' job. And I appreciate them doing it. But I have never heard a comment directed at observers in general for that. So I just wanted you as my commissioner to understand that too. And I think it was too broad a brush. I certainly didn't do anything like illegal. I did not violate, I'm not a lawyer, but in my opinion, I did not violate any federal or local law as the deputy said. And I don't think every observer did either. There may have been cases that he saw, but I didn't see them. And my point is, it was just too broad a brush. He didn't do any specifics. So that's my opinion. And
Thank you.
again, I thank you guys for your job.
Thank you for your service, at least the last couple of years.
That's true.
So thank you, Vinton. I truly respect what you say, and I would agree with you that I painted a very broad brush yesterday. I did that purposely because I did not want to call out individuals. I don't think that would have been appropriate. As far as the challenges that I brought forward, you and I have talked about many of those challenges for the last 2 elections. Those challenges about there's not enough room in there. We've got the appearance of, remember how we've talked about the appearance of impropriety when there are election observers over by ballots without elections staff there and things like that. That's not caused by me suspecting you of doing anything inappropriate. In the 3 years, 4 years that I've worked here, I have never seen you do anything that I would consider to be inappropriate or purposely violating the law. There were instances in this election and the last election where there were individuals who actively violated the law, the WACs regarding observers in there. And I did talk with you about many of those instances, but not all of them. And to reiterate, we did a security assessment throughout this election. And identified in that security assessment is that there are so many instances where observers are put in positions where they cannot be appropriate because of the size of the room. There's literally no place in that room where observers can talk and meet. I mean, they literally have to leave the building if they want to talk to each other. We used to try and have them go down this one hallway in there if they wanted to talk. But then that was identified by the security assessment that they're standing right when they're down that hallway. They're standing right next to cabinets that we now had to start locking with ballots in them. So Vinton, again, I did not ever observe you or Chuck or any of the what I would call the regular observers that are always there on either party. This is not a partisan thing. On either party, I never observed you guys doing anything that I thought that I need to make sure they never come back in this room because of a security reason. Not once in the 3 years. I do want to say again, that room, one of the smallest ballot processing rooms in this state and the smallest one we're the 7th largest county. The building was too small when it was put in 20 years ago. And the county has like doubled in the number of voters since then. You are right. Our election staff, I am honored to work with them. What they are able to do to provide safe, secure, and transparent elections within the confines of that room, and give more leeway to observers than we're required to by law, that they find very frustrating at times. That we do. I mean, they do an awesome job. So, and it would be really inappropriate if one of them came to you and said, just like it's inappropriate for you to go to them to direct them on how to do ballot processing, it would be inappropriate for them to direct you on how to be an observer. So once again, we've got a problem, and the problem is exacerbated by the size of that room. And we actually went through at the beginning before this election, we actually went through the training that some of you guys have been through to how can we help you within the confines of what we're required to do by law. And a key component of that training, and this is a training by the Election Integrity Network. If anybody wants to look it up, it's very well used training. A key component of that is to be a partner, to try and help. So I would beg you to try and help advocate for a larger room with adequate space for ballot processing and observers. We're about at the limit of what we can do with cameras and with adding extra monitors and having a signature check area and all of that. So I would implore you to please give us a hand with that. So thank you. And I'd like to.
Let me respond.
Sure.
I would be more than happy to help you do what I can or voice what I can to get you larger spaces. I know I've talked with the auditor about that. And he's talked to me about it too. And I would have no problem doing that. And I would have no problem with you saying that in your report. What bothered me about the report was you essentially condemned all of the auditors. And by doing that, it makes me want to, why would I want to support, those kind of things? That has always been a problem, even, for the last 4, 5, 6 years, been in space in there. And everybody dealt with it as best they could. And without, in my opinion, any real conflict, people listened to them. And, the observers tried to stay out of their way. All of that. I think we all understood the space problem. Okay. Now, if you'd have just addressed that as the problem, I would have nothing but supported your report. But when you brought in the observers and their actions as the cause of that, that's what I couldn't. But I would be more than happy to support you and Paul talking to the commissioners about you need more space and you need more space and your initiative there. It's just that we did not have a problem addressed to us, the observers, in the areas that you talked about. The staff never expressed, any dissatisfaction on the times that they did. They said something to us, and I know in one case, I guess I was talking too loud, and I was so, go out if you're bothering them and so forth. So, but my point is everybody is going to have those occasional oversights. I've never wanted to present myself as a cop in the observer process. My background was an internal auditor for international standards management systems, and I was observing the process, not people. And when I saw something, I was always told I could go to the staff person, and say, okay, what about this, what about that? And they were more than happy to answer my questions. Paul and the team always encouraged us to ask questions. They always encouraged us to ask questions. And I knew that person that let me in was the person to go to. I know these people, okay? I'm not necessarily friends, but I respect them, okay? I could say we're casual friends or acquaintances, whatever you want to. They know me and I kind of know them. I know some personal things about them and some personal things about they know something about myself. But anyway, my point has been, and it always will be, was your approach with the observers, not the space. I totally understand security. I carried a secret clearance for over 50 years, and I too am concerned about security. I made sure that I didn't touch a ballot. Within, at times, I may have had to touch a cabinet, inadvertently when somebody wanted to get through, but it was never an issue. It was never an issue. So anyway, that's what I'd like to say. And I think the difference thing is in previous elections, we had we had a different central point, which was Paul, okay? And I think that's the difference between the previous elections and this election. And you may have taken things personally, I don't know, but I certainly took this personally. So anyway, that's my 2 cents worth.
All right. Thank you.
Wait, can I say something?
So I do want to,
Daryl, can I say something?
Yeah.
So, getting back to the observers, this election was pretty tough. Hi, I'm Regina, I'm the elections manager. But this election was pretty tough because we had so many observers in the room at one time, especially the last couple of days, and some of them were outright rude in our faces, telling me, I'm done talking to you. So that was some of the things that we had to deal with in this election. Never have before, but it was the last, and they were new, had never seen them before, never come in. But we did have those instances where we had to tell them to back up, quit talking to the workers because they were interrupting the process. So I get part of that. It wasn't everyone. Vincent's here every election, so we kind of know each other. But some of the people that were new that came in to observe, very rude, very obnoxious, and that's the truth. And they were interrupting the process. So,
thank you. So, this is, just, I agree with Regina. If you took offense thinking that I was saying you were out of line, I don't, but I would disagree with you on literally everything I brought out yesterday in my report that were challenges. 2 things. 1, I have talked with you about them, and 2, they would have been solved by having a larger room. So, thank you, everybody. This concludes the meeting of the canvassing board for the November 8th election. Thank you.